The PS4 release date is confirmed. No theater mode in Ghosts and dedicated servers for Call of Duty on Xbox One. Yes. What's going on, guys? BriarRabbit here. Today is a huge news day. So, if you didn't know, Gamescom is going on right now in Cologne, Germany. And both Sony and Microsoft had press conferences today, and both of them dropped some pretty big bombshells, especially if you're a Call of Duty fan. So let's talk about Sony first, because I believe this is the bigger news. Sony actually officially announced the release date for the PS4, and that is going to be November 15th. So that's actually a Friday, which is great, because if you're planning on camping out or doing anything like that, you get to camp out on a Thursday night, pick up the console on a Friday, and then you have all weekend to play with it. And, you know, I think that's a pretty good release date. It's right in the middle of November. It beats that Black Friday rush here in the United States. I'm super excited about this. I can't wait to get my hands on the new consoles. Notably, if the rumors are to be believed, the Xbox One will be released about 10 days earlier on Tuesday, November 5th. So that gives the Xbox One a pretty big margin of selling the consoles before the PS4 is even released. But it is being released on a Tuesday. Well, if the rumors are to be believed, it is being released on a Tuesday, which is a little harder logistically for people to, you know, if you want to camp out and get that console release date, that means camping out on a Monday, picking up the console on midnight Tuesday morning. And that's a little more difficult for people. It'd be more difficult for me if I was going to go that way. I have pre-ordered both consoles. I'll definitely be picking them up right away. And I'm really looking forward to this. This is great news. I'd really like to see Microsoft come out and say, okay, here is the official release date. Is it going to be November 5th? Are they going to, you know, move that date one way or the other based on Sony's announcement? It was kind of funny. You know, Sony has been kind of the second one to announce things all throughout the lead up to this generation. It was kind of funny for them to come out and say, okay, here's the release date before Microsoft did. It's kind of the first time they've gotten out ahead of Microsoft, except for that initial press conference they had where they actually announced the PS4 to begin with. So now it's really on Microsoft to kind of say, okay, we're going to do it before that, we're going to do it after that. We'll have to see. There's no telling what they'll do at this point. They're completely all over the map for the last couple of months, so they're really unpredictable at this point. At Microsoft's press conference at Gamescom, they actually announced that Call of Duty Ghosts is going to have dedicated servers. That is enormous news. If you are a fan of Call of Duty, and I assume since you're watching this channel you probably are, this is amazing. We've been asking for this since, I don't know, for years now. And, you know, the PC had it, and then they lost it. And now the console is getting it on the Xbox One. And I think that alone is going to make a lot of people buy the Xbox One. There's a ton of Call of Duty fans out there. And getting the better Call of Duty experience on a console is going to drive a lot of people toward the Xbox One. They already had the same deal set up with the DLC that they had with this generation, which is, you know, about a month ahead of time you'll get DLC, and then PS4 will get it, you know, a month later, right? So that alone was enough for me to say, well, I'm probably going to be playing Call of Duty Ghosts on an Xbox One. It's almost enough. That, along with Titanfall being an Xbox One console exclusive, those two reasons were enough for me to want to buy an Xbox One right off the bat. But now that I know that we're going to get dedicated servers on the Xbox One, I am like beside myself with happiness. I cannot wait to get my hands on this game. I can't wait to get my hands on an Xbox One and start playing this game. Like, I'm really excited about this. One caveat to this is that I have not heard that Sony and the PS4 will not have dedicated servers, right? I know the Xbox One will, but I don't know that the PS4 won't. So, you know, if you're a PS4 fan, I guess there's still reason to hold out hope that Call of Duty Ghosts will have dedicated servers, but we'll have to wait and see. Somebody's going to have to break the silence on this eventually, and hopefully that happens very soon now that we know for a fact that Call of Duty Ghosts will have dedicated servers for the Xbox One. Man, I'm really excited about that. Okay, next up, I wanted to talk a little bit about the lack of theater mode in Call of Duty Ghosts. So, recently it was reported that there won't be a theater mode in Call of Duty Ghosts, which is an understandable thing. We know that the engine has really been revamped for the new game based off the old game. It's still got remnants of that old engine in it, but a lot of it was stripped out, totally retooled, and then rebuilt from scratch. And one of the things that got lost in this translation is theater mode. Now, I record video and I put it on the internet. So losing theater mode is, it's a small inconvenience for me. This gameplay here is recorded in theater mode. I played the game on my Xbox, wasn't recording, went back, pulled it off of the theater mode, and got it off of that. Now, you can see a huge difference when somebody records a game off of theater mode and when somebody records straight video, with the Elgato or whatever they're using for a video recorder. It's just much smoother when you see it live. What you're actually recording is what the host computer, the host Xbox, translates as, the data. And a lot of times it looks like you're not even shooting anybody, and the guy falls over. The movement looks very choppy. There's just not that. There's not that smoothness that you normally see with a Call of Duty game when you're recording in, or when you're watching it off of theater mode. So, I prefer not to use the theater mode anyway, just because I feel like it doesn't look as good. And, I want my videos to look as good as they can. So I'm not really that upset about losing the theater mode. I think some people will be. Do you guys even watch the theater mode, though? Now, I'm specifically talking to people who don't have YouTube channels, people who don't record gameplay and put it on the internet. Do you guys even use the theater mode? Is it something that you guys are interested in? I think it's a pretty valuable tool for getting better at the game, is actually watching your gameplay, because it shows you the mistakes you made, and it happens in an environment where you're not actually in there in the thick of it, concentrating on everything you're doing. You can just see it happen. You can see that guy who walked past your screen, you didn't see him, or you can see how you should have, remember that you didn't throw that C4, or that you had already thrown that C4 and you didn't have it still. Stuff like that. I feel like it just kind of helps you get better at the game. But at the same time, not everybody's that invested in just improving at Call of Duty all the time. Some people just hop on to, have a good time for a few minutes, and, maybe they're, between innings in a baseball game, they hop on for a match, or, for whatever reason, they got a limited amount of time. They just want to get a quick fix of really good Call of Duty action. But theater mode, to me, is really something that's most valuable to a YouTuber. And a lot of people really think that it adds to the lag in the game, so ditching it or losing it altogether may actually improve the lag experience you have with Call of Duty. And combine this with dedicated servers, I mean, we might be looking at the best Call of Duty yet. So other than that, I think the Gamescom conference has been kind of slow. They've been showing off a lot of titles, a lot of indie stuff that we haven't seen yet. Sony actually came out and said Minecraft will be available on the PS4, which I could have sworn that Microsoft said it was going to be a console exclusive on the Xbox One. But I'm glad to see it coming to the PS4. There's a lot of Minecraft fans out there, and that game seems to be available on just about anything that you can turn on. You can play it on your clock radio, for God's sakes. It's pretty cool in that way. So that's going to pretty much wrap up this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, hit that like button. It really helps me out. And if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe. Up on the screen right now are a couple of videos you might have missed. Just click the video and it'll bring you to the correct page. See you guys next time. Bye.